Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the EDM Grid Podcast. My name is Henry, also known as Henkray. This is definitely the first time that I've ever done this intro with this group of people.
Of course.
I am joined by Oswald, aka Oswald. How's it going, my friend?
It's doing very well. We're here again, back at it. I'm just doing great. I got my guy Slowbro, I think it is.
Yeah, the only man in
just
the world
having a fun
that
time.
You don't know like what the plush is.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pokemon and
anyway.
they all do look the same, but I don't think I've ever had him like here. So sure, let's bring him on.
Well, we have got joined with us today a man who has released on the Aluminum and soon to be a remix package on the Aluminum, which I may or may not be on. Released a really cool plugin that you guys should definitely check out. Link in the description. And someone who is an Au5 Snowblind remixer. Welcome to the show, Kallyn, which I learnt was not Kallyn from the first time that we recorded this intro.
There you go. You are not alone. Do not worry.
There you go.
I get names wrong all the time, and we recorded this intro, and I said Kallyn, not Kallyn. I said Kallyn, and I was instantly corrected. Well, not instantly corrected. I had to
learn from your mistakes, I guess.
This is like, I don't get why I can't pronounce names on this channel. Like, I think I had a period where I was saying Nova Ci instead of Nova Ci, and that is a reference that like every single time we talk to each other, we say that, and that is like the stupidest thing, but it's funny. And you know,
it is funny.
He said I call him Nova Ci. He calls me Henkray. Like, it's just completely
yeah, that's just fair, right?
Henkry.
Of course. My name is now Henkray.
I'm gonna start doing that. Yes.
We might need to re-record the intro. My name is Henry.
No, we're good.
No. How's it going though, Kallyn? How are you doing today?
We are good.
Oh
we are good.
God, what am I doing?
I was gonna let it go, but on camera now. You said
how's it going? Oh my God.
Good. Definitely have not been struggling with the camera that was working for the past hour.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about that.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, behind the scenes, we have just been talking for the past like an hour and 10 minutes for the love of the game. Camera died just before recording. Sometimes it just happens like that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, stuff, but that's how it goes.
Unfortunate.
Gotta love technology in the big 2026.
Yeah,
big 2026.
I mean, this is why they call this the most
professional podcast of all time, ladies and gentlemen,
that has ever seen the light of day.
Hey, it's not your fault. It's mine. It's my phone just decided to be a nuisance and ruin my day. That's all. We're good.
Well, then let's make the audience's day by talking about your sort of musical journey. Do you like what I did there? The epic segues.
That was great. That was good. I heard you almost say Kallyn again, but we're gonna let that slide.
I thought I need to like unlearn old habits. Guys, I'm struggling today.
Let's see if by the end of the episode you pronounce it right.
Is Kallyn
we'll get there.
Is Kallyn
we'll train you.
Slow and steady.
Is Kallyn your actual name, or like is it a alias?
No. Kallyn Kallenbach would be a pretty sucky name. My name is Patrick, but Patrick is a not good name. I don't like it. So,
right.
Actually,
shout out to all Patricks out there.
Yeah. No, okay. It's the worst because people will reference SpongeBob all the time, and I can't have that in my life. The actual dumbest character from that show that I never watched. Yeah. I knew you were all thinking it, but
I
chose.
It wasn't even though, but I can see. I can see.
Maybe
now it
too
is.
Young
now
to,
it
like,
is.
get the cartoon like knowledge inside our head. We grew up on YouTube, guys. This isn't like what we're used to.
That's good. I never watched SpongeBob either.
What was the inspiration?
All right. Well, my name has been quite the journey. When I started making music, I was really inspired by Temanite, and I was 15 there, so an idiot. even younger, I don't know. I saw his name Temanite, thought it looked like termite, and thought his favorite animal was a termite, and he named himself after his favorite animal. And that is a very embarrassing origin story, but I thought that would be a great name for me. My favorite animal is a cat. What's a word that has cat in it? So I went by catastrophic for about a year. And then
That's not horrible. Like,
It's not
I was
terrible.
expecting something
That's actually pretty
atrocious.
wholesome. Not gonna lie.
yeah, it's just, you recall a memory like that, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I realized as I was like looking on YouTube, I was like, if I search up catastrophic, I'm not gonna show up. I'm gonna see a bunch of I think it was all like videos of like car crashes and stuff, and I was like, I don't want that on my
Yeah.
track record. So I asked my friend at the time, all right, I'm gonna change my name. What should I be? And I gave him a list of like 5 different options. A couple of them started with K because my last name starts with a K. And one of them was like Tiger with all the vowels turned to Y's. And anyways, we
Yeah,
settled
that's
on
right. Skip that
Kallyn.
one. Skip that one.
Yeah. I'm very glad I did because I resonate a lot with this one because it's heavily based off my last name. But we decided that this one was the best one that I could have chosen. And I'm very happy I did. Because like now, you have this like online personality. When I'm on Discord, I identify as Kallyn. And in a call like this, you'll say Kallyn, I'll respond. It's just so natural to me now that I've
Nice.
fully embraced this name, and I think I did a good job with it. I don't know.
See, now I'm gonna call you Patrick just to annoy you the entire.
Oh, no.
episode.
Damn.
I'm not.
Don't do
I'm
this
not.
to me. Okay, at least you'll pronounce it right. That's the one silver lining.
Hey,
Okay, so why are we just
That was
attacking me
singular
for my
sum, right?
inability of pronouncing names? Why have we done this? No, but
You started it.
That's true. No,
That's
but I
true.
remember like I looked up your name after the stream because like I wanted to know how to pronounce it, and you were the first thing that come up like on Gemini, and like it was like is Kallyn a real name? It was like, I mean, it kind of is. But there's also
Yeah.
this really cool producer that is like called Kallyn, and he's got like 3K subs on YouTube. It's like, oh, cool, it recognizes you.
That's kind of
Yeah,
creepy. I don't
I
like that
think
too
it's
much.
It's a good thing. Like,
No,
if you
that's
search up
actually
Kallyn,
nice, though.
Like, you're one of the only things that come up. Like,
Huh.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like-
I mean,
It just so happens
Yeah.
that Kallyn is also a somewhat popular girl baby name. And I didn't know that when I was choosing my alias. So we will deal with that. So plus a lot of my branding is like, my logo right now is pink. So there was a good long time that people thought I was a girl. And I think once I actually made my first YouTube tutorial or any kind of thing with a voiceover, is like, oh, that's a man right there.
this is a guy now.
So, yeah, I'm a guy now. Welcome to the party.
wow. Happy for you with your transition.
Let's go.
Well, then let's speak of the time that you were catastrophic and start talking about your music. It's probably about time that we start talking about the main thing that you are here for. Your music,
Yeah.
your color base.
But
So,
you do.
Insane.
That's also which I didn't even start at the beginning with catastrophic. I think
no.
as with all young children at like 12, 13, I wanted to be a Minecraft YouTuber. I saw all these people online
Fire.
like that's the thing. That's the way you have fun on the job. You can do that, and yes, Minecraft YouTuber.
Yeah.
I think I recorded one video and I was like, ugh, I don't like this. Stop it. But at
Bro
that
knew
time,
instantly.
that time I was Mickey Moose 555, and that is still my email. That is my company email for Kallyn, is Mickey Moose 555, and so that was my name. And
Okay.
along the way, I've been playing piano since I was like 5 years old. I grew up in a very musical family, so that was a lot of my background, and I wanted to create parodies. I wanted to do Minecraft parodies. And
so
I
tough.
wrote an uncomfortable amount of parodies of popular songs from the time that I've looked back on, and I'm like, how did I think this would work? But eventually I started writing original songs. And I was like,
Okay.
how do I make the instrumental for these original songs? How do I do this? And so I started looking into music production. And I started off with like a basic, like, there were like these pre-recorded loops that you could sequence. It was really basic, and I tried to save a project in it, and it just lost all my progress. So I was like, that's not going to work. Eventually I found the software called LMMS. It's Linux something. It's free. It's crap. But it got the job done. And so I started making my own music in that. I was making the instrumentals because, again, I wasn't confident enough to sing. So I was making the instrumentals to these songs that I'd written. And I posted one of those on YouTube. And it didn't, obviously, I had like 5 subscribers at the time. So it didn't do well at all. But I was like, this is fun. I couldn't see myself becoming a Minecraft YouTuber, but I see myself being a music producer. And so I ditched the YouTuber side of things and went full music production. And that is, now I'm here, and now I'm your problem to deal with. So
Amazing.
That's so mean. You just, I'm here now, guys. Deal with it.
Now I'm your headache.
yeah, exactly.
How come, like, how old were you when you started? Because, like, who starts on, like, a Linux app? That's interesting as hell.
It wasn't even, obviously I don't have, I used Windows, but I guess it just works on Windows. But I started in 2017, which would be a young 14-year-old Patrick exploring the world of, don't laugh. I see you laughing.
I'm so sorry. That got me off guard. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, 14 years old is when I started, and that I was looking, I didn't have any money, so I was looking for free ways to do it. And I found this software. I think I worked with it for about a year before I bought FL Studio. But
okay.
Yeah. So that's my origin story.
I've never heard someone who got into music and like wanting to be a music producer for making Minecraft parodies. That's so tough. Like,
it's a
what
very
way
unique
to get into it.
It's a unique life choice, isn't it?
Like, 12 years old, wanting to become a Minecraft YouTuber. Let's make some parodies. All of a sudden, I'm an EDM musician now. How does that pipeline work?
Okay, well, actually, I discovered that kind of music through, they'd have these, like, top 10 funniest jokes of all time. And the background music was... Videos. Yes. The outro music was Unity by the Fat Rat. Do you know that song?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's
that
was my jam.
An anthem
for about like 2 years. I listened to that constantly, and that's actually what got me into it. And so then I was playing, which wouldn't you know, I was playing Minecraft one day, and I had like a gaming music playlist in the background, and Temonite comes on. Get Down was the first song I heard from him. I was like, this is really cool. I want to do that. I want to make that. And there's actually one of my original songs from like 6 months into producing that is just trying to be, it's essentially just a carbon copy of Get Down, except absolutely miserable sound design. And I cannot listen to it without crumbling in my chair. But like from the very start, it was Temonite, and I wanted to do that. And so that was my gateway into EDM from Minecraft gaming parodies.
Do you listen to a lot of your old stuff, or is it like as soon as you listen to it, you go, "What was I doing? Like, this is horrible. Like, what was I thinking?"
The last song I released that I will still actively listen to is Mindless, but anything before that is just like, what was I doing? I can hear that I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to make stuff that I'm making now, but I just didn't understand enough about it. And it's just, I can't listen to beyond like the first 20 seconds before I'm like, no, move on.
Yeah, I think everyone has that. Every good musician has that, I feel like.
Yeah, we all have our beginnings.
It's good to know
our
that,
humble
like,
beginnings.
You know, you listen to something from like 10 years ago, or like, it's not 10
more
years ago,
though.
it's like 8 years ago, but like and you hear so much of a difference between the stuff you were doing there and the stuff you're doing now. And I think it's cool to look back and just see how much you've grown as an artist. I mean, that's how I feel. I know also some people just like cringe at their former self, which I definitely do sometimes when I look back at some of the stuff that I did when I was 14. Oh God, what was I thinking for some of that?
Right, but like it's a cool point of comparison, like to see how far have you come.
And what's interesting is listening back to some of my old projects and IDs. There was one day I just scrolled through every single project I ever made in FL Studio to try and see what I could continue. And even when did I start that? Like 6 years ago, maybe I started getting like the EDM style down. I can hear things that I could still see myself doing today. I hear things that I'm like, oh, that was cool. But just my brain hadn't leveled up enough yet to understand how to make that kind of stuff well. But I could see myself absolutely going back to one of those projects in the past and just recreating it from scratch with the knowledge that I know now, and it being something that I would listen to pretty frequently, because it's like my brain, I'd had all of the musical creativity from growing up, knowing how to play piano, knowing how to play violin, all this stuff, and all that stuff I was channeling into my music. That clearly hasn't changed. I'm making the stuff that I wanted to make when I was 14 years old. I just didn't know how. And so I listened back and I'm like, that's a cool idea. I could use that now. I can even essentially make like a VIP of it and turn it into a modern song that I think would do pretty well. I don't know. I'd like to listen to it. So that's actually on the agenda at some point.
Throwback EP of just like rehashing all your old IDs into something really, really cool with your new style.
And most of them are just basic melodic dubstep. That's a lot of what I did. My original stuff was just chord stack in, I didn't even have Serum. It was Harmless in FL Studio. I would make a supersaw synth and just that was the drop. So a lot of that stuff you couldn't really adapt. But some of the more complex stuff, it's actually like the idea's there. And I might go back and revisit it with modern sound design techniques and stuff.
Yes, revisit your old project files. I always feel like people or producers should do that a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you've got like a vault of like 100 unfinished things, and then like, come on, that's gotta be useful.
Yeah, and I'd always heard never delete your old project files, and so
definitely.
There's some things that are just an 8-bar loop that's doesn't even have drums yet because I ditched it early on. Those I won't revisit. But there's some songs, I was talking with Henry earlier, there are songs that I have completely finished, done, polished, ready to go, and I just never got past that point because I was never fully satisfied with it. And there's actually probably a 2-year period I was trying to figure out my music visualizer for my channel. That's the only reason I didn't get those songs out. They were done. I just couldn't make the video for them in a way that I was happy with. And now obviously they're outdated, but that I was so conscious of trying to make the video, make every aspect of my music the best it could be with the knowledge that I had at the time. And that limited my ability to create and actually release stuff. And I don't know what I learned from that, but I guess there's a certain point where you have to kind of accept that your project's not going to be as perfect as it is in your head and just get it out. And that's more important than making sure every aspect of your song is exactly how it is in your brain. And that's something I'm still working on understanding and executing, but it's something I know I should be thinking of when I'm creating stuff.
Especially because as a producer, you sort of hear the imperfections and you know where they are. But, we were speaking before, the Hate Goodbyes like vocal, which we will get onto that topic later. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Like you heard a crackle in it. And like you yourself went, oh my God, like you can hear that in the final thing. What was I doing? I didn't hear it at all when I was working on the song. Like I didn't notice it at all. So it's just
surprising.
Like, or like I didn't really like pay attention to it because like, it's just a thing. We can fix it, and add stuff over it, so it's not as noticeable. But like, I didn't really like care for it as much as potentially you would. So like, it's a really interesting thing about like understanding from the audience's perspective or the people listening to it. That's like, you know, I didn't hear anything, but you do because you're being critical of yourself.
It's the exact same thing as you don't like your own voice on recordings, and I dealt with that a lot, especially specifically because I would record my own vocals and have to listen back to them and be like, oh, I do not like that. But I've since then actually gotten a little more accustomed. Maybe it's just because I've heard myself enough on recordings that I know what I sound like. But you have to break that initial barrier of, I don't like how this sounds in my head. No one else sees it the same way as you. No one else sees the same, here's those imperfections that you're hearing in your recording. That's the voice that they're used to. And that kind of mentality is really helpful. Also, specifically for creating vocals, but just in general, is that they're not hearing what you're hearing. Obviously, they can't. But they hear the product that you're creating sounds exactly like what they want to hear. That's to them, that's your perfect child. That's your vision, and that's how you executed it perfectly. And if you just kind of ignore those imperfections in your workflow and say that's the final product and accept that will be the final product, then down the line you can accept that it will sound perfect to you later on. It'll sound like exactly what you're trying to do at the time.
Damn,
all right.
I never thought it like that.
So you sort of started off doing sort of pop stuff, like working on making loops and stuff. How did you get into color bass? Because when we were talking before the episode, you said that you were actually heading in the direction of some poppy stuff until you decided to go on color bass. What sort of was it about color bass which made you want to produce it and sort of have it be your main style?
Well, I'd never really liked headbangy EDM stuff. My whole it was just a part of EDM that I never really wanted to touch. And around high school, I was doing listening to, I forget his name now, but it was a pop song, and I was trying to, if I ever had the courage to actually record vocals, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make pop music, but I'd known about this EDM in the background, and I'd never really gotten my fingers on it. What am I trying to say? I'd never gotten a grasp of it. And then around, it was the Disciple remix competition. I wanted to do that. And I was like, well, color bass is trendy. I don't know how to do it. For a while, I was like, what is it? I don't understand it. But then I wanted to try and make something of my own, because it was actually now a way that headbangy dubstep could be palatable. It was it got rid of the atonal, ear-piercing, tinnitus-inducing loud music and actually introduced character and introduced a melody to it. And it was like, I've had classical training since I was 5 years old. I know the importance of music theory, and I can understand like the structure of a song, and having it be having that melodic aspect to something that was still really emotional and energetic, but now creating a more complex melody in it, was something that I was like, I can do that. I like that. I like this music now. What was originally headbangy, ear pain, tinnitus inducing, was now pleasant to listen to. And it was kind of the best of both worlds that I couldn't grasp on more mainstream EDM. I could finally appreciate because it was in this new form, this new melodic tone. And I'd also, most of my stuff at that point was then melodic dubstep. So it was an easy transition for me to get into that more headbangy EDM, but color bass style. And so that's pretty much how I settled on that genre. But I still try to mix it in with just, basic melodic dubstep. D&B is also something I really enjoy doing. And so it's kind of the cough. Yeah.
cough.
Just maybe. But yeah, it's I think it captures what I appreciate about electronic music production and sound design the best out of all the genres. And that's what made me finally realize, yeah, that's what I want to do. This is the kind of music that I've always wanted to make, and now I can do it. And so that's something that I think that's pretty much the story of how I ended up with color bass. I can't think of anything else that would have happened, but yeah.
You just enjoyed the genre and thought, oh, I'll make that, and then eventually you sort of got good at it and realized, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I might as well continue with it.
I still think, like, if I were to sit down and you asked me how do you make color bass, I wouldn't really be able to tell you, because it's kind of just become such a... There's obviously so many different techniques you can use, but when I'm sitting down on a project, I sometimes forget, like, why can't I make this sound like color bass? And then suddenly, it's weird. It's like I come back to it, or I revisit that sound maybe later, and it's like, oh, it's color bass. Look at that. It already sounds melodic and textured, and that's why I made a plugin to do it. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get onto that later.
Hey.
Don't spoil the episode. Even though I've been doing it the entire time.
I'm not the master of segues here. My bad.
Obviously, you got to leave that to the professional here, guys. And speaking of segues, let's talk about the Au5 Snowblind remix. Yeah, I genuinely did use that as a segue, because that was like the
that was something else. That was, right, because like he pulls a segue out of nowhere. Like
I will pull any. I could relate to completely different topics and segue them to perfection, my friend. You do not know the power of the Hencray segues.
I do not think I do.
But the Au5 Snowblind remix, that is how, because fun fact, that is how me and Kallyn first got in contact with each other. I heard the remix, I liked it, and so I reached out. I was like, hey, I really like the remix, and he was like, oh, cool, thank you for liking the remix. How did that come about? Because that is a really, really cool thing, especially because you were listening to sort of color-based stuff, which Au5 was a very big person in color bass for a long time and still is. How did that all happen? What was the story behind that?
Yeah, with Au5 in particular, I think if there was the person I've been listening to for the second longest, aside from Temanite, would have been Au5. I think I found the original Potions remix on Monster Cat.
Yes. I like that one.
That's what, like 6 years old now? I think I found it when it was relatively new, so it's old, buddy. It is old. We're old.
Huh. I know that because it Eliminate was on it as well, like the Eliminate remix as well, before he getting really cracked.
Was he doing the YouTube stuff then? I remember he did a breakdown of that.
So. I think it was in lockdown that he started doing. Started doing that sort.
Well, around then, I really found an appreciation for Au5, and so because I think one of the things is he was encapsulating what I wanted to make in my own music. It wasn't just melodic dubstep like Millennium, like chord stack, big sound. It was more complex. It had a lot of movement. It had a flow. It had a story in the drop. And that's something that I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. If I can learn how to do that, I'll be happy. And so for the longest time, he was one of my biggest inspirations, and he was making the music that I wanted to make. And I was like, ugh. So around the time that this competition was announced, I think it was like a week after Chimera had released, that he made the announcement. And just a couple days before that, he commented on my video saying, I forget what he said exactly, but
really cool plugin, something like that.
It's just like a little comment, but I see this guy, Au5, and I'm like, oh my God, am I present in the community now? Is this what I needed to get like recognition in this scene? And so I see the announcement and I'm like, I might have a chance at this, because I've been essentially basing my sound around his style, trying to chase what he's already achieved for the better part of a couple years at that point. That was August of June, some month last year. And that is the music that I wanted to make. And so I was like, I might have a chance at this because his style was so influential to my decisions as a music creator that it would be so amazing to actually be like have some recognition from him. And so the week after Chimera, I was busy with promotion. It kind of got slow. Our house lost internet for like a week. And then after that week, we vacationed to Scotland for a week. And by the time that vacation was over, I only had about 6 days to finish this song. I'd started like
Oh my god.
half of a drop.
Damn.
And I was like, I need to do something. So in that time, on that vacation, right, Scotland, beautiful country, everything is at least an hour and a half away from everywhere else. So in that time, all I did was read my book and listen to music. And there was nothing else I could do. And so for however many months, years before that I'd spent producing, this was time that I could actually spend listening and really analyzing all the songs that I really, really liked, analyzing mixing decisions, analyzing composition decisions, all the stuff that makes the song that I like. How did they do it? And I could really focus on every single sound that I heard in these songs. And so I came back with this week of just listening to music. And I sat down and I swear to God, I worked 8 hours a day, 6 days. Not even kidding. Middle of summer, no responsibilities, just work on music. And I might credit that to the original source material. I might credit that to just listening to music. There were a couple days in there we still didn't have internet. So I had my hotspot on the window so a plugin with iLok could load. By the way, screw iLok because they require your internet connection to actually load the plugin. Unnecessary. Anyways, had my hotspot on the window in my 120-year-old house with a giant metal roof, so the service is terrible. But I was working on this project all day. I was talking with Henry before. I don't want to force myself to work. If I'm not in a creative mood, I will not create. I never had a roadblock. I had an idea, and I could immediately translate it into music. And that's kind of a flow state, is something I have not been able to recreate since. But yeah, just a week of just work, get everything as quickly as possible. And then I submitted it with like a day to spare after like 3 mixing revisions and updating things and asking my friends, is this perfect? Because I really wanted it to be as perfect as it could be. This was my chance to be seen by this guy that I'd been following for so long. And then 3 days later, after I submitted, he had the winners showcase, the winners announcement. And the way that I leapt out of my chair when he told me that not only was I a finalist, all the people you heard in that stream were finalists. I was one of the 6. I was like blown away.
Oh my God.
And wouldn't you know, right as he's telling the winners, he's revealing the winners, my internet crashes out again. So I could only see through the chat, because something with Twitch, I don't know, Twitch just does not want to play videos at a constant rate. It loves to crash out, and right when they were giving it away, they reveal in the chat, he was typing the winners, and I was like, oh my God, I fell on the floor. It's still mind-blowing to me that I even got to be in a call with him, but the fact that I was able to have such a crazy opportunity is something that even like a year before that I would never have dreamed. And so it was really an honor to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
All the
What a
hard
roller
work
coaster.
paid
Oh
off.
my God.
All
would
the
have
hard
had, like,
work,
some
yeah.
panic attacks.
You can hear
That's
if you,
insane.
I've listened back to the conversations we had afterward. I have a massive lump in my throat because I cannot get over whatever this excitement is, and you can
Oh,
hear it. It's
man.
like a ball that I'm trying to talk around. I was so awkward during that conversation, but
What was
Yeah,
the
it's
reception
still-
afterwards for the remix? Because obviously, like you said, you had Chimera out, but like,
Yeah.
what was the reception of your stuff after the remix came out? Like, did you see a lot more
Well-
attention to your stuff?
I don't know exactly. I think I was still kind of in the midst of the uproar for Chimera that actually, like, I couldn't really tell what was coming from Snowblind, what was coming from Chimera. I don't know if there were any major follows or anything that was like, oh my gosh. But it's actually funny, before we talk about Hate Goodbyes, I was in the Neo Aluminum server and Desks was like, oh my gosh, Kallyn won. I've been like watching Kallyn for a few months now. And a few months before, Hate Goodbyes had been accepted. So it was really cool to be recognized in like both of these different avenues where I'm creating a tool that people use and also creating music that people enjoy. And I think that was kind of like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And so people were starting to like talk about me in servers, and it's such a weird feeling, like being the source of a conversation. But also bearing in mind, I had to release alongside Temanite, Nasco, Xylent, Modus, all these Kiro, all these people who have already established like a career. And so I'm not saying that I was like overshadowed by them, but I do think that I still see that as like a crazy honor that I was able to release alongside Au5 and Temanite. Are you kidding me? Because
your big inspirations.
That's
yes, the
incredible.
two most inspiring people that I based all my music off of, and I was releasing alongside of them. It was a really crazy experience, and seeing, I guess, that kind of recognition was like my name was being mentioned alongside them. That was a really crazy experience for me to try and wrap my head around. I still can't really rationalize it, but that was really, really inspiring, and that probably kept me going forward with my music.
You've made the segue into the next topic a little bit too easy with this one.
I'm telling you,
It's all
dude.
interconnected.
It's all
segues.
Yeah.
So around the same time, you made Hate Goodbyes, which is now out on Neo Aluminum and has been for like quite a long time.
Since September,
a couple months.
I think. Yeah.
What was the process behind that? And I also want to touch upon afterwards the remix EP, because your song was also chosen for the end of year remixes, and then you now have a remix package coming out at some point on Neo Aluminum that I may or may not
Some
be
point.
part of.
A lot of
That's-
stuff. A lot
yeah.
of stuff, dude.
Absolute
So that-
nepotism here on the podcast.
Yeah,
I will
let's
shout
go.
out all the names.
Speaking of nepotism, we had I don't know if you're aware of the collective that I'm a part of called Overtone. Have you heard anything from them?
I have
Maybe?
not actually.
Okay, Overtone let's just sidetrack real quick before we get back to Hate Goodbyes.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah.
doing Moon Boys competitions this was late 2023. My friend Motion Wave reached out to me and said, "Hey, I like your stuff. Do you want to be a part of this group? We're just gonna, make, I don't know, as a collective, like a known thing. It's like just a group of people that make music as one collective alias." And I was like, sure, sounds good. So I joined this group. It's Motion Wave, Stokla, who was then going by Azure, I think, and a few other people I do not remember. I'm so sorry, but we started this group as just us 4 or 5, and slowly that's become a group of 11 people now, with people like UXSN, or Usun as he has in his pronunciation, Trex, Motion Wave, Stokla, Lexay, Yoku. All my good friends are a part of this collective. And just so happens,
I'm
I
recognizing
swear,
some of these names here.
I swear,
I'm recognizing some. It feels like I've been a
Yeah.
part of. I've been up against it the whole time, thinking about this now.
I'm sorry, when people make good music, it wins competitions. I swear it was not a part of the decision,
Right.
but we narrowed it down to those. I think there were like 25 submissions for my song.
There were loads. There were really a lot.
There were a lot, maybe even more, but they happened to all be a part of the remix album.
I see. It's
and
like I
swear
was
that
up against
not-
it the whole time. I see.
Um,
I was trying
Just
to
think
find
about
my
it.
way in.
You beat a rigged system.
Yeah.
It's rigged. It's so rigged.
You
All
made
of
it.
these
You made
names
it.
on the-
When
on
all the odds were
compilation,
against
and
you.
they're all
Yeah.
just your friends.
But yes, the remix EP is just so happens to be a lot of people who I really respect, and they made some really amazing remixes of my song. But speaking of my song,
Yes, go ahead.
segues. That
Yes.
one, Hate Goodbyes. I started that one, I think, early 2024. So, what, 2 years ago now? It was even earlier than that. I started writing the lyrics in the fall of 2023. And it was originally going to be a collaboration with Psychobox, but the project kind of fell, it wasn't really active, and I had an idea for a drop, so I was like, can I try this on my own? He was like, sure, I don't mind. I had written those lyrics. Sometimes it's kind of like, again, it's a flow state. You get in the mood of writing lyrics. It's usually really difficult, but I was able to write all of those not half bad lyrics in, I think it was like a couple hours. Just as I'm going about my day at school, I was like, oh, that's a good line. Oh, that's a good line. And so I was able to write the whole thing in like a day. And I was like, that's really cool.
I still have the lyrics memorized from when I was working on the remix. Like I
Really?
think I know every single lyric
I
to
mean,
the song because
if you
of how, like,
if you
I was
listen to
working
it
on
like 100 times,
Yeah.
I think I
Trust me.
remember everything.
Believe me, I know how it sounds to have a few lyrics stuck in your head.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can see, yeah.
what was I gonna say? Oh, I started taking that project on my own, and that would have been about April of 2024. And I've got maybe a first drop done and maybe the intro a bit, but I couldn't get it any farther. I couldn't figure out where to take the second half of that first drop. And then I went on a school internship in Africa for 6 weeks, and I couldn't work on music at all. And guess what happens when you can't work on music for an extended period of time? You listen to a lot of other music. And so I come back and I was I started working on it, I think at the end of that year, and just suddenly, like, I blinked and the rest of the song was done. And I was like, oh, let's go. Because I really liked the idea. And so I was really, really happy to be able to finish that and have it like as a completed product. And I think I re-recorded those vocals at least twice because I was never satisfied with those original takes. And so I'd sung it with more emotion or with different processing techniques or different editing techniques because I was never like, I always heard something I wasn't happy with. But I finally had a version I was like, yes, I can get this one out. I can release it. And I put it out to all the biggest labels and none of them responded. And I was a little bit I was disheartened by that because I thought that it was like, this is the big thing. This is me. This is exactly what I want to make. And no one was accepting it. And so that was kind of disappointing for me. All the momentum that I thought I had kind of went away with that realization that it's not as good as it is in my head. I guess that also kind of contributes to the whole insecurities about whether your song is good. Is it ready? Is it finished? Because when you get it out, the industry, the labels, everyone that you were expecting would accept it are like, no, thanks, we'll pass on this time. And it's like, shoot, was it really not that good? So, but then out of nowhere, again, I was on vacation. I got a a DM from Neo Aluminum saying, "Hey, we like your song, Hate Goodbyes. We'd love for it to be a part of our new compilation." I was like, cool. I'm aware of Neo Aluminum. I know my friend Cassini was on the Wind Elementals when they did their remix of one of Desk's songs. And I've been aware of that label and kind of seen it as like a, not really an end goal, but sort of like it would be a really good step, a really good sort of, progress to be on this label and be able to release alongside people like Danny Demand or Convexity's also been on there. And I saw that as a great opportunity. So I was like, sure, I'd love to be a part of this. Turns out that my song ends up being the closer and ends up being, I don't know if it's one of the more popular songs on the EP, but I've actually seen quite a few like reaction videos to it, and it's always placed pretty high, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So all these other
probably
labels that were,
many people wanted to remix it as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually right around the release of that compilation, they were going to start doing this remix EP, not remix EP, remix competition, and they were asking all the different artists on the label, hey, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to have your song remixed, put it out there, and we can hook you up with stems, and then give them out to the people to create music with. And I was like, sure, sounds like fun. That'd be pretty cool to have my song be remixed. I didn't think it would be the most remixed song on the compilation, but I think that comes in part because it's just, it's one of the few songs on there with original vocals, and so I think that helped to
it's more
it gives a lot more versatility in what you can make with this song. And so I think that was one of the big contributing factors to why it was so popular there. But I was like, sure, I'd love to be a part of this remix competition, see if people might want to remix my song. And now here we are with a remix EP on the way with, by the way, Henry's on the thing. But
Who?
if you guys haven't noticed by the I may or may not be there.
Who's that guy? Sorry, I never heard of him.
I don't know. I don't know if I've heard of him.
Who?
But yeah, it was one of the end goals that I'd had from a while ago, and so being able to achieve that and seeing it be such a well-received release after all those rejections before has kind of reaffirmed that I do know what I'm doing, and sometimes my creative decisions can actually be helpful. And while I still look back at that song and be like, I could have done that better, I could have done that different, it's still, I think, pretty impactful with the story that I was able to. I like the storytelling of the different drops, and I am really proud of how it turned out and where we are today. And I do not know how to land this plane, but that's just gonna finish the story.
In a ditch.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
I want to move away from your music side because obviously you do a lot of music.
I do that.
You do sometimes.
You do.
But you have another side of Kallyn as a brand, and that's Chimera, or I cannot pronounce names.
Back on.
It's
Back
Chimera,
on the
right?
trend of mispronouncing things, aren't we?
I'm horrendous. You really underestimate how bad I am at pronouncing things.
Terminate comes on and he's like, welcome Terminate. Welcome Terminate to the collab, to the podcast.
I'm gonna get Skybreak on. Oh, hello Skybreak.
Skybreak. Yeah,
Skybreak.
something, I don't know.
But Chimera, is it Chimera?
In your defense, for about the first couple months of it being that name, I was pronouncing it Chimera to myself. And then I actually looked up the pronunciation, and I was like, "Oh, that's not how you say it at all. That's good."
I'm like 99% sure it's Chimera.
Chimera. That's close enough, right?
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways.
But regardless of the name, it is a really cool plugin.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind you deciding to make a plugin and sort of the reception that it got?
Well, one of the reasons that I actually got into computer science as a degree was because I wanted to make audio plugins. That was my end goal. I've always liked computers, and it's much different career path than my brothers took. My dad's a pilot. My brothers are both becoming pilots. I was like, I don't like big machines and flying planes in the sky, so I want to make software. And I like this music stuff. I want to see if I can make that stuff, because I have ideas. Then as I was learning more about software development, not so much like audio software, but I knew that this color-based thing was a thing, and I knew there was a sound that I wanted to get from the stuff that I was making. It was never quite right. Vocoders would make the thing too watery. Convolvers would make it too like echoey. I couldn't get the sound that I really, really wanted. And about the time that I was in Africa doing this internship, Ewan Bristow released one of his first plugins called Chameleon X, something like that, in this new thing called plug data. And I was like, whoa, what is this plug data thing? How do I use it? Because it seems like it's really easy to make new software in there without having to understand without having to write it all yourself. And he was making more and more of these things, creating these new tools. And I was like, this seems like something I can use. And so I came back home, started experimenting with it. And I was learning how to create my own stuff using FFT, using different filters, different processing techniques, and really understanding how this software worked. And I wanted to specifically understand morphing, spectral morphing. So something like Synaptic Morph or his EB Morph, or I guess NMorph. Not a lot of tools out there actually use that kind of technology. And so I was like, if I can learn this, I think I can make what I've been thinking of this whole time, because it's one of the more complicated ways to actually merge two sounds together. And what is color bass if not merging a bass sound with color, with chords? And so I really leaned into that, and I was exploring that. I was trying to understand something called cepstral morphing, which is unnecessarily complicated for the sake of this podcast, but
it does sound complicated. Yeah.
I was experimenting with it at different values, and I realized that in the off state, I was still getting like tonality. I was still getting chords, and I was like, why is this happening? And so I realized that where every other software out there might try to apply a texture or a chord through, I'll say, the shape of your FFT. Again, I'm not going to get into the crazy math details, but using this shape, there's two parts of this. There's the shape and the pitch. And I realized if I use this pitch, if I use this phase, then I can apply the tuning of these chords without affecting the, like, essentially kind of the vowel sound, the shape of the bass that you're feeding into it. And I can merge those two aspects that seemingly no other plugin has tried to merge. And I was like, wait, I might be onto something. And so I shared that realization in the EB Discord, and they're like, yeah, we knew that was a thing. I was like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you let me know that this was I've been looking for this for so long.
Actual betrayal.
And so I know when was that? That was maybe in late November of 24. So at that point, I was like, I got to turn this into a plugin. I got to make something with this. I originally named it Phase Morph, because that's what you're doing. You're morphing the phase. And I was trying to make all of the interface in plug data, and it was just getting messy. And I was like, I got to start from scratch. And so I started creating this new chimera. I looked on ChatGPT, and it said, I'm creating this tool that merges two sounds together. What's the name that I can use to be
classic?
Like,
can't come up with
I know.
ChatGPT to do it.
I know.
I do it too. It's okay. I do it too.
But I was looking for maybe like some kind of historical, like something merging, something mythological, where these like two hybrid sounds are coming together. And of all the different hybrid mythological creatures out there, Chimera showed up. And I was like, that's it. That's the name I got to use. And so I kept working on this product. I created this interface that one of the things that we were doing on our internship is trying to create a interface, a user workflow that is intuitive, where you don't need any amount of technological literacy. You can just look at this thing and be like, I know how to use it. And so I really leaned into that. If there's one thing I learned from that internship, it was that. Lean into that, creating the UI while also making it look kind of aesthetically pleasing. I was trying to make it look worn and like not really aged, but like it's a mythological creature. We're trying to make it look mystical, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I have this complex weaving pattern that's kind of abstracting what the plugin is actually doing to the user and making this visually responsive stuff that will make the plugin as easy to pick up as possible. And once I had that done, I created this whole system with this complex morphing technique, while also using convolution in there, live convolution, so you can essentially vocode a sound in real time with the spectrum, and it's got a very, very precise output. I created all this in this plug data software, and again, the recurring theme of this thing is not being ever fully satisfied with it, but I was like, I have to get it out. I have to do this because this is achieving what no other tool has been able to achieve for me. It's able to merge the qualities of the sounds in a way that preserves the best of both. And so I finalized the tool, much to my own dismay of my own dissatisfaction with it. And I put it out there. And I guess maybe I rode the wave of plug data tools being, actually usable in a project. But that was within, I remember I was like surprised. I was impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, I have 50 downloads. That's really cool. Like a day in. Oh my gosh, I have 200 downloads 3 days in.
Oh my god, A5 left a comment.
No, okay, because about 2 months later, I think I had 5,000 downloads.
Whoa.
Which is completely mind-blowing. And
not bad.
That's
not bad at all. I don't know how much of that
That's
was
incredible. Yeah.
Not bad.
It's okay. It's much better than I was anticipating, honestly, with the market these days of like plugin creation and stuff. And especially I felt like there was a little bit of not so much a stigma, but also like people are going to be using it. It's a patch. It's not a plugin. It's a patch in this existing software. And so that's one of the many reasons why I made it free, is because I didn't want to, like, essentially it's literally just a text document that tells this other plugin where to place all of the nodes. But it caught on so quickly and so well that I don't know. I guess it just it gives me a lot of faith in the plugin that I'm producing right now.
How much do you use it in your own songs?
I used it a couple times in the Snowblind remix, but I admit that the plugin itself is very unstable, especially because plug data is in an early stage, and it's not the most efficient. And I mainly blame plug data for that, because in the software that I'm creating on my own, it's working at like 1 to 2% CPU, whereas plug data works at 11%, 17% if it's actually processing audio. And so I don't use it too much because I guess I don't leave it in my project, because I don't like the fact that plug data is unstable. It's in alpha development. Sometimes it will crash, and I don't want a project to be ruined because of that. But there's definitely times, especially now with the more recent VST versions that I'm using, I find that I'll use it actually pretty darn frequently. And I have a small group of beta testers. They say that it's probably the most used plugin that they use, just because it's able to so easily merge these two sounds together in a way that sounds more natural than any other plugin that's like adding a texture. It's actually like essentially resynthesizing with the new texture, the new colorful texture. And so it's, I think, in part because of its efficiency, but also because it's sort of just a drag and drop effect that they've been able to find a lot of use out of it. And I tried to diversify the techniques that I use in my songs, but I do find myself going back to it now, especially with more of the fancier features that, again, I don't make too much music these days, but I do find some pretty good use out of it whenever I do.
Right.
Well, I think we are getting to the end of the episode. But before Oswald's, it has been a long while. Before we get to the end of the episode, and before Oswald asks his all important question, I want to know. You said there isn't really much before we started recording, but what is in store for the future of Kallyn? Kallyn,
Damn, dude.
as a product and as a project, and also Chimera or however the hell you say it.
Yeah. Well, Chimera. So I really, obviously I spent my time in college being a software developer. So that is the end goal. I'm going to go to work somewhere in California or Wisconsin or wherever. I don't know. I'm going to be focusing on my software development, but on the side, I absolutely love music creation. I love software development. I'm going to continue to do that. It just maybe won't be as consistent as some others. But Chimera so far seems like it might be a couple months, maybe, then it'll be released.
Okay.
Hoping for it. I've also got a couple other plugins that I have planned. I'm putting all my chips right now in Chimera development, so music is not so much of a priority. But I do have a few other projects. And with that, there is a couple of collabs that I'm pretty excited about. Obviously, there's the big remix EP. I'm going to have to do a lot of promotion and stuff for that. Watch out for that. Pay attention to Mr. Hencray, who's on the EP. I don't know. But we're and also there might just be a VIP coming. I don't know. But we're
actually.
Just sneak that in there real quick. But I think you can definitely expect a lot more activity in the plugin side from me. I have a few really cool ideas. One of them is converting the original Purifier script. I'm going to make a VST out of that, which will be a lot more user-friendly, easy to use, and obviously it for all platforms now, because it's not just an FL Studio thing. It's a VST. That's going to come eventually. I've got a few other cool ideas. I can't really see too far into the future with my music, but I'm obviously gonna keep doing it because I love making stuff and I love working with people and when things like that work out. And also Overtone. I don't know how often that is gonna happen, but Overtone's really cool. All my cool friends there make cool music as well, so pay attention to that. Yeah, the end. I don't know.
All right, Oswald, go ahead.
Hey.
Say what you want to say.
I don't think we've talked much about your inspiration, so I really want to know what are your favorite songs, your favorite artists, your favorite ongoing projects that you like the most or that you inspired you the most.
What are some tunes you're digging right now?
Yeah, what's
right now?
The best for you right now?
You guys already know it's AU5. I
was
really
imagining,
like
around those lines.
Do you know how I talked about him earlier? Of course, it's going to be AU5. But
Yeah.
I'm also really, obviously, biggest inspirations were Teminite AU5. I really like Chimes. Older stuff. The newer stuff it's good, but it's not my kind of dubstep. And then Skybreak. Skybreak is probably, out of all the different producers, probably the most that I've connected to and drawn inspiration from. Not from the music in particular, but just from his journey. Like the way that he started, and he's like 2 months older than me, and he's doing everything I would have dreamed of. And he had the the perfect pipeline from bedroom producer to headliner. And so his journey is actually one of the things that really kept me going with my music and being like, it's possible. I may not look like it now, but it's possible to get to that kind of a stage with your career. So he's been a huge inspiration. There's not too many specific projects that I've been focusing. Oh, well, you and Bristow here. Instead of music, go to plugins. You and Bristow has been doing some really amazing stuff with his new VSTs. Obviously, they've all been shouted out by Au5 by this point, but I know he's got some really, really, really cool stuff in the works there. And I can't think of anything else. I think that will answer that question for you.
I think
that is
a
one
great way to wrap up the episode.
Yeah.
Before you go, and before the episode ends, I did say this to you, that I would give you this time to shout out any projects you want to shout out. If you want to, now is your time to say whatever you want to say about anything.
Lock yourself in type. Like.
Oh, no, I'm not going to plug myself. Go listen to Hencray's new CFC track.
Okay.
I got nothing new coming, so I got to plug my friends, right?
That's amazing. Say whatever.
Go follow all the Overtone people. Go follow all the cool people at other places that I cannot think of right now. And sure, if you want, follow me as well. I don't care. It's not important to me.
While you're at it.
While you're there, right?
While you're there.
Yeah, right.
While you're checking out my song on CFC Volume 2.
I almost had a track for that, but it didn't really pan out. But that's a different story for a different interview.
Well, I think that concludes the episode. Once again, my name is Henry, also known as Hencray, joined by Oswald, aka Oswald. The intros and outros never get any better. Thank you so much, Kallyn, for joining us for this episode.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It
seems we haven't learned.
Yep.
It seems we haven't learned the pronunciation yet, but
chips. I really was betting it all, but you.
Oh my god!
But you said it this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have not learned anything. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.